With more Texas Republican Congressman Will Hurd, who sits on the House Intelligence Committee. Surely you'll be able to tell us more. Why is Special Counsel Mueller beefing up his team? As Catherine Hurd just pointed out, more than a dozen on that team now. Is this unprecedented?
Well, I don't know if it's unprecedented or not, but I think you can tell by the kinds of talent he's bringing on, the areas of interest he's looking in. But that is a criminal investigation that's independent from what we're doing on the House Permanent Select Committee.
But what should it tell us?
Well, it should tell you that based on who he's bringing on, they're looking at things. I think this is going to be a little bit broader than many people thought originally. One of the things that we're trying to do on the House committee is we're looking into what should the government have done and what should we possibly do in the future, because this is something where even former FBI Director Comey said that there should have been a different response. The Russians are not going to stop. They've been trying to use covert influence for the last 2 decades in Eastern Europe. We should be talking about what is our counter covert influence strategy and how do we make sure that the whole of government is working together as well with civil society to deal with this. I was in Ukraine recently, and the Russians are in Eastern Ukraine, but the past administration was calling this separatists. They aren't separatists. It is Russian regular forces in another country. These are the kinds of things that we have to be able to combat.
So it's one thing to look out into the future and what we can change, but to look back and what has taken place that has led to today. You just heard from Mark Warner saying the Obama administration choked when it came to handling this.
I agree with Senator Warner. Last summer, I was calling on the Obama administration to, at a minimum, kick the Russian ambassador out of the country. I thought that was the least we should have been doing when it comes to dealing with this threat. If there is not a response to bad behavior, guess what? That bad behavior is going to continue. So we should have had a stronger response earlier under the last administration, and we're going to in a very thorough and bipartisan way look at everything that happened over our last elections so that we can determine what should have been done and what we should be doing into the future.
All right, so let's talk about Paul Manafort. He volunteered, we know, to be interviewed earlier this year. It's now confirmed that he's agreed to be interviewed by the House Intel Committee. We're talking about this. What questions will be asked of him?
Well, since I'm on the committee, I'm not going to
what do you want to know?
Any preview, but I want to know what his exact role was in the organization. What are his contacts with other governments? And we also got to get through some of fact versus fiction. There's been a lot of information out in the press, some of it likely incorrect, but we want to make sure we know exactly that he knew and what he did, so we can move on to some of the other folks that we want to interview.
Could you be a little bit more specific with that? What's out in the press that has not been factual?
Well, I think you can look at former FBI Director Comey's response in the open hearing when he was shocked, when he was still the FBI Director, about some of the things that were being said in the news, which was absolutely false. It's hard for, I spent 9.5 years as an undercover officer in the CIA, and one of the things that the intelligence community and law enforcement never does is they never refute anything out in the public. That's just not what we do. And so for us on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, we have to separate fact from fiction, and we're going to ultimately have a report. There's going to be a classified version, but there's also going to be a version that we want to get out into the public. And we're going to be thorough. We're going to be bipartisan.
I only have a few seconds left. If I could just ask you, the face-to-face meeting that is about to happen with the President and Vladimir Putin, any expectations there?
Well, I hope President Trump is tough. I learned when I was in the CIA, be nice with nice guys and tough with tough guys, and President Trump definitely knows how to be tough, and this is an opportunity to do that.
All right, very good. Thanks for being here tonight. Good to see you.